to what I wanted to like talk about was the belief,
Hmm.
right? Um, our beliefs or our limited beliefs, which are basically the same things if we start to look at them and change them. Um, and I think for like a good example for me, when I got sick with Lyme disease and Western medicine really couldn't help me, I had a belief that other things would help. I went to a shaman. I went to an Ayurvedic doctor. I started juicing. I started eating organic foods. But internally, I believed those things were going to help me.
Yep.
And when I looked back at it, I was like, oh, I believed that's why they helped me. I
Hmm.
didn't have a belief that taking antibiotics was going to help me.
Right.
I, so that's just like a simple kind of example so people can kind of understand that what we believe to be true for ourselves, and we all have different beliefs, right?
It's very powerful when you put your mind to something, and like we were talking about the other day, when you believe it and you own it and you just there's no doubt in your mind, that definitely plays a part in it 100%.
Belief, and then also go a step further when we let go of attachment and control of how it will come to us as well, right? And this goes for like love and money,
Hmm.
um, and things that involve like another energy, like another
Right.
person. Like if we're trying to manipulate something, oh, I need this person in my life, I want this person in my life,
Mhm.
that puts it further away, right?
Yep,
Because
it
I
does.
manipulate and control.
Mm.
I can speak to it, I think, also a little bit too from a guy's perspective, because if a girl comes off needy, what does it do?
So what we were talking about before we jumped off the call, um,
It repels you.
yes, that person's energy was, and there was no reason for it to be, but it's a very, very, very beautiful woman you would never in a million years expect. But that energy, I just, you can definitely feel it. For me personally, we talked a little bit about, I have my ADHD and that's pretty hard sometimes. But a thing with ADHD, and I didn't realize this till very recently, part of that condition is like, let's say you need to do the laundry and it's piling up and you got the basket and you're ready to do it. And then, your mom or your girlfriend or your wife is like, hey, honey, you do the laundry. Yeah, I know. And then, if they mention it again, now just because somebody told me that I have to do it, I can't do it. And it's not a control thing. It's not a, I don't want to listen to you thing. It's a mental block on it of now you just, not that they knew, but you just put me, or you just stuck me mentally. And that's part of the procrastination with it. But
All
when
right,
you get
hang
that,
on, because that's important.
okay.
You're mental block, but also what people do, and this might be it too, is they put up like an energetic wall.
Mm-hmm.
If pushing you to do something, whether it's to get their attention, to make you do something. Like when women want to get married, I know I've talked to a lot of women, they like almost like force their partner to like, you know, propose to them or whatever. And it ends up not being like authentic.
That's a huge no-no. I mean,
Yes.
I've been pressured by some when I was very young, the woman I was dating, like, high school prom, and she was like, if I don't have a rock on my finger by the time I'm 25, I'm out of here, with all the attitude that goes with that statement. And I was just like, bye. That's not something that you rush into. That's not a decision you force. That decision either comes, naturally, or it's not right and it's not going to work. It's
And also,
just,
I think that what people need to understand, if you're in a traditional relationship, like man, woman, right?
uh-huh.
The man decides. The woman leads here and there, but the man decides when he wants to ask you to marry him, if he wants to ask you to marry him, if he wants to be in a committed relationship. And there's so much stuff going on with like women. I know we're equal and all this, and we're equal like as
Yeah.
human beings. But when it comes to relationships, I think men usually they're leading it, you know?
Um,
If being done,
Sometimes.
well, I mean, I guess women can ask men to marry them. I'm a traditionalist. I wouldn't do that.
Well, I'm not
Uh,
talking about in regards to asking men, like any relationship that's going to work long term. you guys kind of go back and forth with who's leading on things. You know what I mean? Generally speaking, like,
But that goes back to the masculine and feminine energy too, where if you're in your feminine, if I'm in my feminine, you're in your masculine, the masculine takes action, the feminine receives and gives spiritual support, emotional support. If you're in a healthy place, the man provides and things like this. So, you know, it's just because if you're competing with each other and you're both leading,
there you
that
go.
that doesn't work.
That's a power struggle. And we talked about this the other day. When you have this day and age, you know, where you get the women empowerment, which is great. Women can have careers, women can be alone, and like more people are just pushing against the narrative of you need to be married, and more people like sing. There's nothing wrong with being single. I'm single by choice, you know. It's just not a good time for me to have a relationship in my life, and that's fine. And you
Well,
get these,
but you're doing self-love. So
yes,
really
but
have a relationship with yourself because you want to be get
mhm,
in a relationship. You're coming from a place of not lack,
mhm.
but able to like support the person, give love, receive
Yeah.
love, and not needing it like if like you're like food to survive, you know?
Well, I was speaking more to like if you get, you know, these strong, confident women that have a career and have their own money, you know, maybe buy their own home, and they're trying to date a man. Every woman, like you said, I think at some level they want their man to lead. They don't want to be leading him around and taking control. They want to be with a person where they can be themselves and confident and you know, have their career and be in their own power in the day-to-day, strong, confident women, but also be comfortable enough with whoever their partner is to let them take the lead and let them take control on things so they don't have to, so they can take a break, so they don't have to, you know what I mean? Like somebody's taking care of me. I don't have to take care of everything, like at work and my team and everything like that. Like I don't have to do that. I feel safe with this person to let them lead, and vice versa. If you got a guy that's very confident and secure in himself, he will have no problem with uncertain things letting his woman take the lead. You know, that's I think when you get very healthy relationship dynamic, when you can, you know, do that both ways. If you get a woman that's very submissive and very needy, to some guys that'll get old after a while, or that'll, like you said, push them away, and vice versa with a woman. If you get a guy that's too needy and, you know, being too much of a bitch or whatever, it's gonna turn them off at some point, you know. It's all about balance.
I agree. Definitely balance. And also we have our strong points and we have our weak points, everyone, you know, for example, you and I were trying to figure out the computer stuff. I right away was like, this is all you.
We got it.
Okay, like I can talk all day long about relationships, growth, all that. But when it comes to computer stuff, like I know my brain does not work the same as your brain.
Most people's brain doesn't work like my brain does.
All right, so the limiting beliefs, some big ones, some core ones, is that love comes from outside of us. And we need something from someone in order to feel a certain way, right? But in actuality, we have the capability to love ourselves unconditionally inside. And when we really start to cultivate that and learn how to do that, you know, that magnetically draws things to us. It'll draw healthy love. It'll bring opportunities. It'll bring abundance in a variety of ways. As I continuously keep working within and not blaming everything on the outside, because shit happens all the time for everyone, right?
It does.
We get fucked over. Well, we get hurt. All this shit happens. You continuously keep blaming, you're not getting anywhere, right? Vibration goes low. You get depressed. You know, people get anxious, whatever. Like, you know, what do? We go to the gym. We process. We try to look at what's going on and to try to make a better decision next time. And then also going a step further, when you look within and say, well, how can I do something better for myself inside so that I'm not looking for that validation outside? It's very empowering, you know, like once we realize that we have everything inside, And that comes from, you know, tons of meditating and spiritual work and things like that. It's not an overnight thing.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
it takes a while to get there.
yeah, you started doing it when you went through your stuff. I started doing it when I got sick with Lyme disease in my 20s. And it's constantly like learning. But I realize now, like when I wake up in the morning, I can dictate how I want my day to be. I decide in the morning, like, all right, this is how I want today to go. And I'll literally start to program my brain.
Right.
But that took time to even realize that that was a decision that I could make.
I mean, I've had days, and when I wake up, I do my meditation right in the morning, first thing in the morning. I'll do my 10-15 minutes, and then I do some yoga. It's a little rush this morning to try and get this going. So I only did 5 minutes, but I did it, and I did my exercise and I got going. But, it's so easy to, and I've even in setting the intention for my day, and then, stuff happens. Everybody has these days where it's just like one thing after another. And I'll like when I find myself getting aggravated because I don't like the way that makes me feel. And like you said, you can choose how your day is going to go. Like, okay, that's it. And then there's another thing. And I've gotten to the point a few times where it's like, you know what? Fuck you today. I'm done with you. And I'm just going home and I'm going to go in my room, watch them. I'm done with today. There's just too many things that have, been a challenge. And I've done what I had to do for the day. And that's, screw you today. And tomorrow's a new one. And just don't even look at it. And that's it. I don't have to do it often, maybe, 2 or 3 times a year, but everybody has days like that,
Yeah, of course. And that's why it's all about working within and programming your brain so that when we do have those days, they don't continue for weeks and months. Some people get stuck, like you're saying, you took one day to yourself to go within. People get stuck like that for years. So
I mean, I think it's a spiral. It's like you had that one bad day and then one thing happened. You're so aggravated and you go to bed and you wake up stressed about what happened yesterday. And then one little thing the next day and just keeps rolling over and rolling over. And you just got to make that conscious decision to be like, hey, this is, just today. We're done with today. Today's over. Like, we're done with that. We're going to go to sleep. You're going to call it. I had to do it at 2:00 in the afternoon sometime, one time. I'm like, screw this. That's enough for today. And you do. I think the biggest thing is in how you handle it, how you react to it, and how you deal with it. You can.
That's our own choice. That's our choice. We can choose to look at it, get angry at it, have attachment to it. And that's when people get stuck in the victim mentality. And they're doing the blaming and they're like, oh, well, they did this to me. Oh, he did this to me. She did this to me. Who fucking cares? It's how we react to it and how we rebound from it, because they're all lessons. The universe is just giving us shit that we need to look at. And it's like, all right, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to deal with it. We're going to have feelings about it because we are human beings, but we're not going to get stuck on it because we have ourselves, we have our own back. And when you have your own, you don't need to worry about the other person's thinking about you. If you're inside, it's a lot.
Kind of like, you have your like your emotions are normal. You get a flat tire on the highway, you're going to be annoyed. You're going to be aggravated. You get some bad news, you're going to be upset. But it's how you deal with this. Like, okay, this person just called me and gave me bad news, or they just said something that pissed me off, and it's like, okay, whatever they did, maybe you have a right to be upset. And being upset and being maybe a little angry, that's natural. But how long you stay in that energy? Like, okay, I got this bad news, I'm processing it. Couple deep breaths, 5 minutes, you're back to your baseline. Or you can let it ruin your day and call all your friends and tell them how this friend just fucked you over and you got a flat tire and now you got no money to buy the concert tickets you're going to buy tonight because I spent $300 on a tire. And like, you can let that ruin your day, or you can just say, this happened, I'm dealing with it, and I felt my emotions, I'm not upset about it, I'm just moving on, and that's it.
Like you just mentioned too, which I think is important, is that people don't realize too, when they start complaining to each other in groups like that, that creates a group consciousness of negativity, lower vibration, that victim mentality. And that makes the energy even bigger and harder to kind of get out of. So we have to be really careful about how we speak and who we're speaking to, because if we're with people that are gossiping and talking negatively and in victim mentality and they're not owning their own shit, it's really hard to kind of like have a good day, continuously. If we're around each other and we're supportive and we're doing, work and things like that, then we're in a group consciousness of a higher vibration. And that's more powerful too.
Right. I
And
had,
so,
go ahead, finish your
no,
thought. So,
so it's good to be aware of both aspects, and to constantly be aware of how we're speaking, you know, our energy. And I think it's important in the morning, if you can, to meditate right away.
yes,
Um,
100%.
when you have time to yourself, everyone's busy. I have kids and work and this and that. I have to meditate in the morning. I have to put myself in a certain energy. I have to make sure I'm cleared inside. And shamans and these people have been doing this shit for like eons. Like they clear their energy every day, all day, because we're all giving off energy to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you and I vibe, we link up. We're kind of like, we're both positive people. I don't feel drained from you, but if I go and do something somewhere, I work with clients sometimes, when people are in lower vibrations, you got to constantly be clearing, meditating.
It's a
So,
lot. It's a lot to take in other people's traumas and or hear about it, or like when they unload it, they're putting that out and they are offloading it. And I'll just give you like a quick example. When I told you a little bit without getting into it, my situation with my kids, and there were some things going on, and with custody and things that were getting done that were intentional towards me, but it wasn't really hurting me. It was, things that were going to hurt the kids, and the other person couldn't see that. And I'm telling family and friends, but instead of just talking about it like this, where I'm calm and I've dealt with it that times, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe you said, oh my God, what the hell? And I call 5 people because I'm so stressed and so angry, and rightfully so. Feeling angry and being upset about those things is a normal emotion. But if you share it differently, instead of being all worked up and putting that out there and spiraling it out to like 8 people before I can calm down about it, just kind of handling it within, and just, picking maybe, like one friend or one family member to, if you need, I don't even really like to talk about it anymore. And I don't react to it, and it is what it is. You can't control other people's behaviors, but if
right.
you share with one person and you're calm about it, and like, oh, this happened and it kind of sucked, and, but I'm over it, and it's just frustrating. That's a healthy way to share, and kind of, because that's important too. You can work through a lot on your own, but it is good sometimes to, unburden yourself a little bit and you feel better. But
Yeah.
there's, 2 different ends of the spectrum. You're
So,
not, and I found myself draining my friends, draining my family, draining my partner. I was in a relationship at the time. It was stressing my kids. It was stressful to me, but it's how I was handling it. And when I realized this, I was talking to a friend of mine who's going through the same thing with his ex-wife on a much worse level. I mean, much worse. They call the cops on each other. They're crazy stuff, these two. And he's talking to me and telling me same thing, that ex-wife and the kids. And I'm sitting there listening to him. I'm going, oh my God, this is what I do to people. And
yes,
that was like a very big,
awareness.
it was a very big point for me where things started to change very quickly, because I don't want to stress my kids. I don't want to stress my brother or my dad, my mom, my friends, and they all know what's going on. And a lot of my friends are dealing with similar things with their.
Let me ask you this, because this is important, because a lot of people go through difficult situations with partnerships, kids, what have you, family. It took practice, right? For you to become aware, to start to realize like, all right, I have control over my emotions. No one else can control my emotions but me.
Mhm.
You were giving your power away to the person that you were in relationship with,
Yes.
allowing them to upset you, put you in a certain mood. And it's all normal until we become aware of it and we start to figure out a different way of practicing, of living. Why do you
Right.
think, all right, I learned this like a long time ago when my father raised me kind of Buddhist. Monks go away into, years of solitude for this exact reason.
Because they're smart.
I
Get
don't want.
away from everybody and you'll be very peaceful and happy.
So no, but they go in to isolation like that and meditate all day for hours and don't even talk to each other, because they're learning, practicing non-reaction, right?
Mhm.
Because Buddhism is non-reaction, it's awareness, it's kindness. And then when they come out and they have to interact with people, and our society is like one of the most high stress, high mental health, all that stuff.
I think it's
America.
more this country than other countries. The United States is go, 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 nine to
So
five.
yeah, and I mean, just statistically, 4 out of 5 people, that's like 95%, 4 out of 5 people that go to like the emergency room, it's for mental health, emotional issues. It's not even physical. And just to kind of give a little bit of a background, I've been doing counseling now for 18 years.
Mhm.
And I'd say the people that come to me for the spiritual counseling, the mental health counseling, the emotional counseling, they're the people that are dealing with other people that don't look at themselves, and I have to teach them how to deal with these people, because we all should be looking at ourselves. We all should be growing. We all should be realizing we're all connected.
Mhm.
Like, if you're struggling and I care about you as a friend, as a family member, what have you, I want to talk to you about how you can make things better in your life, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if someone has an attachment, because you were in a relationship with that person and they were angry at you, whatever their issue are, they don't sit in that love energy, and they feel separate from you, and they want a reaction because it's some sort of negative attention, even if it's not love anymore, which is what.
I think you're speaking to, and the word for today is boundaries. Okay.
Mm,
But I think we could have a whole 5 episode topic about this, but dealing with, when you get toxic, narcissistic partner that sucks that life out of you and makes it worse. You know what I mean? All they want is the reaction. It's not about the argument. It's not about the issue. It's just they want to say or do whatever to get emotional reaction out of you. And if you start practicing taking care of yourselves and you're more aware of your mental well-being and you're doing the meditation and you get to this place of that non-reactivity, that drives those type of people crazy, and it makes it worse.
Yep.
I was
And
watching, I do meditation, and there was some time where, I was doing an hour in the morning. I would do yoga, go to the gym, come back, have lunch, do another hour in the early evening, and a couple hours before bed. And it gets you further and further to a better place. I watched a podcast about meditation, and a guy, I can't remember his name, but he's very famous for this. I think he used to be a monk. They've done like studies on his brain when how fast he can get himself into this meditative state and the waves. But he's sharing a story about this woman who's a very high powered attorney in New York, very stressful job, a big law firm, very high powered clients cases, very stressful. And she's having problems with her, marriage and da da da. So he teaches her meditation, and she's like, he's like, this isn't going to happen overnight. This isn't a band-aid. But he goes, this is, if you stick with it and you do it, you will see the results. And so he told her what to do for the practice and showed her how to do it. But it's like, more you have to fold this into your life. So he said she started doing it, and she called him up like 2 weeks later and screamed at him. This is BS. It's not doing anything. I'm doing everything you said. You're just a shit, blah, blah, blah. And literally screamed at him. And he's like, I felt really bad. And, he said, I emailed her afterwards because she was very upset. So I emailed her and I said, listen, please stick with it. It is going to help you, but it's going to take time. And he said he didn't hear from her for several months. And then he said she called him and she said, I got your email, and I, kind of felt bad about lashing out. I had a lot going on that day. And she said, I stuck with, whatever he had told her to do for the practice. And then she said, last night I was at dinner with my husband, and something happened at the dinner. I don't know if it's something the husband said or something happened or she got a call, whatever it was. And it just like rolled off her back. I call it like water off the duck's back, rolled off her back, and she kept eating. And she's like, my husband had this weird look on his face. And she's like, then we're driving home. And he said to me, the husband says to her, your meditation thing is really working, because 3 months ago, if that had happened at dinner, you would have got up and stormed out of the restaurant. And you
Mm,
just sat there and ate and didn't react. And she was just like, and my mind was blown because he was right. I would have. And that story just kind of hit home for me, because I was just like, I found that so many times in myself when I did, the work and the meditation stuff. Like, I would hear things or things would happen and I just wouldn't react. I'm like, that's out of my control. There's nothing I can do to change that. It wasn't
and
anything I
also
did.
go a step further. If we're within and healthy within and something's going on the outside and we don't react to it, what else does it bring in? What else is there room for?
You got me on this one.
Well, the universe starts to give us abundance of a lot of different things because we're not focusing on this one thing that's happening, which is either,
Yep.
something doing to us or not giving us or something like that. And we don't get attached to one specific outcome,
Right.
like so many people, we talked about it. So many people want soulmates. They want, they want that relationship, that like, strong love connection. And as soon as you let go of getting that on the outside and you're getting it on the inside, your energy is going to pull that in.
Mm-hmm. 100%. When I started, doing spiritual, I saw something that said, when you're elevating or you're getting pretty far in your spiritual journey, it said you'll start pulling in people from your
Mm-hmm.
past like a magnet. And maybe a week after I read that, and I mentioned it to one of my friends that, she's also in the spiritual, and I mentioned it to her. And I am not kidding you, within a span of 2 weeks, I heard from 6 different people that I haven't heard from in over 10 years. Whether it was on Facebook messages out of the blue, hitting me up. We're already friends on Facebook, sending a message, hey, how you been? Let's get together sometime. And I'm just going like, holy crap. Like, it's almost like you said, manifesting it. Like, oh, you see that, you read about it, you believe it, you read some stories or you hear a podcast or YouTube video, people explaining how it happened to them. You're like, oh, that's like, and then it happens to you. You're like, what the hell? It's kind of mind blowing, but it's true. You start, when your energy and your vibrations go up that high, like you start pulling those people to you like a magnet. And when you, at the beginning, you're saying, if you get a partner that's insecure or whatever, and they push you away, that is, so true. And it goes back to what you said, like women start at a certain point pressuring a man to marry them. The fact that you're even like leaning on the because okay, you don't have to pressure it, but if you've been with somebody for 3, 5, 8 years, whatever, and you can have a conversation about it. You don't have to pressure. I need, like the example I gave, I don't have a ring by the time I'm 25. I'm out of here. That's not a healthy way to handle it. You know, how do you feel we're going? Do you see us getting married someday? Is that something that you can, like have a conversation about it? Like a lot of guys are scared off by it. I know
Or how
I
about
was.
if you're young and you are wanting a relationship and you just let go and you work on yourself, and who cares if you get married? Who cares if you have a piece of paper? If you're in love and you're happy, I mean,
Exactly.
man made anyway. I mean, that
Exactly.
I just, some things are a little bit more ingrained societal like pressure.
My
Oh,
mindset and a bunch of my friends' mindsets now are, and here's where I'm at. I've seen so many people go through divorce. I have seen it get dragged out and get ugly in court just so those people can get at and try and hurt each other for whatever the reason. And like you just said, if you're with somebody and you love them and you guys want to spend your life together, like there's nothing wrong. Like celebration of love, destination wedding, friends and family, like, have a little ceremony on the beach or whatever, have a reception. Do you need to sign a piece of paper? No. Do you need to file with the state for it? No. Even if you, to get married, I think is like $50 to file the fees. A friend of mine did it amicably. To get a divorce, there's like $800 in court fees and filing fees, like no attorneys. They just walked into a courthouse and, hey, we want a divorce. We're cool. We figured out our assets and our kids' custody. We just, break it on the state. It's $800 in paperwork. It's insane. And that
all
was
right.
without a lawyer.
Yeah. I mean, that's all overwhelming to me because I never got legally married. But anyway, mindset. I think that getting up in the morning, meditating, and there's studies just because I'm in the like mental health field. the gym, exercise, weight training, 80% of depression and anxiety, and that's been studied now for a while, is cured by exercise, by
Yeah, you
moving.
get the dopamine that makes you feel happy. That's it.
Yes. And, you struggle, you said, with ADHD, right?
It's more
And
procrastination with me, but I've been trying to like structure my day, and I don't beat myself up if I
right,
don't make the whole
I'll
schedule.
talk a little bit about if you go to the gym versus if you take a week off. Do you feel a difference? Do you-
100%. Yep. Because I went to visit my brother last month for his birthday, and the week before I went, I was only able to get to the gym twice, and then I was there for like about a week, and I didn't. He has a gym at the place that he's at, but I just didn't go down there. I was just doing different things and seeing friends, and I just didn't have the time. And then I came back, so it was like almost 2 weeks I had off, and then I'm like, I felt myself starting to like slide into like, I don't want to say a lazier, but kind of like just like a lower energy. Like I wasn't
Yeah,
really feeling great. I'm like, you know what? Nope. And even I would go and I said, screw it. I'm gonna go do I don't feel like going. I'm gonna do like a half hour, because a half hour, even though that's half-assed in the gym, it's better than the people that don't go. And you will feel, and then a couple of half-hour half-asses turned into, now I'm right back into the swing of
and
things, 4 or
that's
5 days a week. Yep.
it's also a practice, like meditation's a practice, and people need to start realizing like these things are necessary, just like eating. So we
Mm-hmm.
feed our bodies, we have to drink water, we also have to feed our mind, and we have to feed our soul, and that, like, I remember when I first graduated with the holistic counseling degree, everyone was always like, oh, well, what's holistic mean? And it's your body, your mind, your spirit, and that's weird. No, it's not, because we're not just a body. We have a mind, we have a spirit, and you have to make sure you're feeding every aspect of
Yep.
your. And I'm not saying it's easy, because I'm still practicing it every day. Like the gym for me has always been easy because I started at 14, so it was
Yeah.
like an easy habit for me. Um, and I always like to eat healthy. I just like to eat in general. You're Italian, I'm Italian. It's like a social thing. Like eating is just like fun to do with
I
people.
have a fast metabolism. My kids are like, it'll be 11 o'clock midnight, and I'm making food, and they're like, Dad, come on. Like,
I do
really?
thing. I'm like always eating. I'm like, I don't care. I go to the gym for 2 hours. I
That's what
can't.
I say to them. I said, I work it off. Next time we go to the soccer game, look at the other dads. Like, they don't go work out. Like, I could sit home and get a big beer belly. Like, then they just tease me. It's good fun, but yeah, it makes a huge difference.
And then so for me, I'll share my weak points is I constantly am having to do my affirmations 100 times a day on some things, because that's where I struggle. Like I believe, in myself physically. I believe in myself with nutrition. I believe in myself emotionally, but spiritually, like we get stuck because we're living in a society of, oh, we're gonna judge you on what you have, like for jewelry or clothes or something, and that's really like bizarre, but it's such a normal thing nowadays to like, oh, you're gonna have this kind of pocketbook, or I don't know if you deal with the same thing because you're a man, but as a woman, like
I've
it's
bought in a bunch of those expensive pocketbooks. Trust me, I know all about it. Hey,
yeah,
if something makes you feel good, this is how I feel about it. Money will not make you happy. Chasing money will leave you very empty, like any other addiction. If if you buy something and you use it and it makes you happy, spend all the money on it. It's worth it. If having that Gucci bag or Christian Louboutin bag makes you happy, spend the 5 grand on it and own it, and it makes you happy every and it's smiling, you enjoy it. That's fine. When you buy 10 of them and they're all sitting in your closet and you're only using one, it's not filling that void for you. If
yeah,
if you have a hobby and you enjoy doing it, whatever it may be, go buy the high-end hunting bow, go buy the super high-end makeup mirror, and so you can do your makeup if that's your thing. And what makes you happy, for your 20 minutes or hour a day, like whatever it is, like go spend the money on that hobby that makes you happy. Just in this society, people just like, I need stuff, stuff, stuff. And I
mm.
used to be that way, and now I'm the opposite. I'm trying to get rid of stuff. I want to clear it out. I want less. I want to lighten my load. I don't want to carry all this stuff. Like just get rid of it, clear it all out.
I feel the same. I've just been like kind of purging, and I'm just like, I don't really care. Like, I remember when I was younger, I wanted like a nice diamond and I wanted these things. And now I'm just like, I don't care. I'd be happy with just like good food, love, connection, like the really important stuff
All right, wrap
that,
up your final point because we got 1 minute left.
okay, well,
That's on the timer. It's gonna shut the call off.
yeah, that's fine. We can be done and we can talk about it next time. But
Yeah, we'll do more tomorrow on this. But wrap
Mm.
it up. What's your key takeaways for today?
Be aware of your belief systems and what you believe in, because we're creating our reality all the time, all day, every day.
And be careful who you share your energy with, if it's negative, especially.
Yes.
You don't want to spiral. All right, let's stop it there before it cuts us off.